I'm Macee, and this is my presentation on feminism. So, I chose to do the three main ladies. So, first up is Myrtle. In the background, I chose to do lavender on top, as it represents immature and impatience. And then pink, which represents playfulness and unrealistic expectations. And then I chose to do red, as it represents passion and Tom's anger. And then I chose to do purple, as it represents an emotional person and arrogance. So I chose to do 3 different flowers. I chose to do the black dahlia because it is a symbol of betrayal. I chose to do an orchid since it is a symbol of sensuality, and I chose to do a blue violet since it represents a dying blue violet, since that would represent unfaithfulness. So I chose to do 2 different drawings of Myrtle, one to represent her a high class dreams, so like the jewels, the flapper-esque hair and outfit, that kind of stuff, and a very glittering view of herself, as well as her eventual fate, with her being dead, her having much longer hair as she was a working class lady, and the yellow car in the background, as well as a fox, since foxes are very much associated with being sly and cunning and promiscuous. Next up is our lovely Lady Daisy. So she was presented as a very innocent character, which is why I made her blonde, since blondes of the time were seen as a very innocent person. I chose to do Lily of the Valley, which represents sensitivity, daisies, as they represent attachment and innocence, and ivy tied around her feet, since that represents marriage, and it represents her being tied into a marriage with her husband. I chose to do a little army cap, alluding to Gatsby being in the army and her, having an affair with him. So she was described in the book as having bright eyes, which is why I chose to have her be a blue-eyed girl. And as for the background, I chose to do champagne, as it is a very fun-loving and cheery color. Plus, it's associated with the 1920s. As well as pink starbursts, which are associated with innocence and romance, and amber starbursts, which represent being optimistic and warm, which Daisy definitely was. Also, the pearls, if you notice, the pearls are the exact same ones that are in Myrtle's, which is very much alluding to Myrtle being the one that is like having an affair with Tom. Oh, also, I actually glued them on. They're like actual beads. And finally, this is Jordan. I chose to have her in the actual pose in the picture, as well as I also did that for Daisy. So she was described as being very slender and standing like a cadet, and also being very much a gossip and a liar, which is why I had a snake down here. as snakes are very much reminiscent of the Roman god Janus, as well as Lucifer in the Bible, as well as the phrase snake in the grass, meaning a person who is lying. So I chose to actually draw these two motor companies' symbols, as that's what inspired her name, the Jordan Motor Company and the Baker Motor Vehicle. And then I chose to do 3 different flowers. That is the peony, which represents the shame of her cheating at the game. Lavender, which represents other people's distrust in her due to her being a bit of a gossip. And pansies, as I saw her as a very curious person, as well as being very loud and out there. And if you would notice, all 3 of these girls have outfits that have actually been inspired by the celebrities of the time, such as Clara Bow, and I'm blanking on the other 2's names. But that's fine. Thank you for listening, though.